that that trial could not end from the very beginning. You know, I've been arrested from my house in Kotobabi. Professor Dubois was teaching in Legon when he was picked up from the classroom and were taken to the CID headquarters. And we were cautioned and asked to write statements. Okay. Within 15 minutes, Professor Dubois had finished writing his statement. It took me hours to write my statement. So Professor Dubois kept pinching me all the time and said, "What are you writing? You're writing too much. You're implicating us. Please stop." And I kept writing because I knew what I was doing. You know. And what I was doing was writing a statement which nobody would dare read in an open court.
Because you knew too much,
I was writing a statement that nobody, I think I ended up writing about 20 to 30 pages.
Yeah. Even the policeman would not read this.
No, it took hours to write my statement, you know, and I was asking for more paper and writing and writing. In that statement, I've spoken about my experiences in guard rooms, the number of people who had been killed in the guard rooms, and who killed them, and so on. Who would dare read such a statement in an open court? I was talking about cases of corruption which had come to my notice, and the PNDC secretaries allegedly involved, and so on, you know. So what I was actually doing was not just writing a statement, I was creating a bomb.
People, this is Footprints with Kwesi Pratt Jr., the trial.
Yeah.
For yourself and
Professor
Dubois as
yes,
well.
Yes, yes.
And did Professor Dubois get to know what you wrote?
I told him later. I told him later about what I had written, and he was shocked, you know. But look, we were still in the CID headquarters on the top floor. They made us walk up and climb up. And then some policeman that I don't know, up to today, came and whispered into my ears that we're going to be taken to the tribunal for trial. And that we're going to use the back door, not the main door, main entrance to the police station. Now, by this time, thousands of people had gathered in front of the police headquarters, you know. Thousands of people had gathered.
Yeah.
Now, they wanted to take us to the tribunal quietly, you know. But my wife was with me at the time when I was writing the statement. So I told her quietly to go down and alert the crowd that we're going to move us to the tribunal. So she did that. She went down and alerted the crowd. So by the time they took us through the back door to the State House, the State House was jammed packed with thousands of people. Thousands of people.
So this tribunal was presided over by who again?
I suspect Abdul Akins.
Akins, yes. A very popular name at the time.
Yes. Now, the police had a difficulty. How are they going to take us to the tribunal hall with all these thousands of people?
Yeah.
So they used the banquet hall. There's a link between the banquet hall and the tribunal hall. That's where they passed us, and then we got there. Now, at the time, they were trying, the tribunal was trying members of a group called the Farragan.
What?
Farragan.
The Farragan, yeah.
They were exiled people who had come into the country and exploded bombs at the airports and so on. You know, and they were on trial.
You remember some of those names?
Damba, but he wasn't on trial. His son was on trial.
Oh,
wow. So we were ushered into the tribunal when this trial was going.
Which Damba is this?
TB Damba.
Sheikh.
Well, TB Damba, I don't know whether it's a sheikh or not, right. You know. So I entered the tribunal with Professor Dubois, and I gave a Black Power salute. And my goodness.
Which one is that? This one? Yeah.
Black Power salute.
This one, yeah.
And the whole place went...
Exploded, man.
Exploded. Charlie. Terrible. You know. So that was the first sign that it wasn't going to be an easy trial.
Wow.
And then, of course, Dubois pleaded not guilty. I was asked to plead, and I refused to plead. You know, insisted that it was not a legal trial. It was not about legalities and so on. It was about politics. You know, so I was not going to plead. I recall that Eduboahene had a team of lawyers, I think led by Mr. Brody Mens, who had been a minister in the Buzia regime. I had no lawyers.
You were your own lawyer, man.
Actually, President Kufuor had offered to be my lawyer. President Kufuor offered to be my lawyer, and I said no. I'll defend myself.
Wow.
And he insisted that I needed a lawyer to guide me through the law and so on. So I came to an understanding with President Kufuor. And if you look at all the pictures of the trial, you will see that President Kufuor sat behind me.
Wow.
You know, he was giving me advice and all kinds of things. That was also the beginning of the very, very close relationship that I developed with President Kufuor. So I decided to defend myself with the assistance of President Kufuor then. He was not a president then, and so on.
The lawyer then.
Yeah. So eventually, it was decided that the case should be adjourned. I mean, the commotion was too much. They couldn't deal with the commotion. So we were granted bail. And this is very interesting, sometimes. We were granted bail. We went to the registry. In no time, people had come with their property documents and so on. And Eduboahene was on his way out. He had served his bail conditions and so on. So his wife actually turned to me and said, "But Kwesi, what are you doing here? Are you not?" I said, "Look, I don't have any property. So I'm going to prison. I'll meet you at the next adjourned date." So Auntie Mary turned to Prof and said, "Edu, you can't leave Kwesi here. How would you explain if you are home and he's in prison?" So quickly they started moving around, and then they brought documents and so on. I also was granted bail.
Wow.
Now Eduboahene was a big man then, you know, real big man, presidential candidate and so on. Yeah. So there was a convoy of cars to take him away with bodyguards and so on. So he jumped into the car and he was gone. Okay? I had come out, no car, nothing. And there was a guy called Charles Baine who came from Texas. So Charles Baine decided that we should walk to the NPP headquarters. So Charles Baine was the first to carry me on his shoulders. You know.
Which year was this?
Same year, 1992, thereabout, you know. So I was carried shoulder high, and we walked all the way from the tribunal to the headquarters of the NPP with the whole crowd. Everybody had gone home, and so when we got to NPP headquarters, it was milling with thousands of people and so on. And then the NPP leaders realized that a mistake had been made. I was going to address the crowd without Eduboahene. So they came to me and said, "Look, you can't address the crowd, you can't take over our headquarters," and so on. So I had to wait for them to go to the house and bring Professor Eduboahene to join me to address the crowd.
Wow.
You know, but
good. So this headquarters at the time was where?
Kokomemle, the Kokomemle headquarters.
Good one. So this is just rounding up part one of our conversation